And hard to believe that it's already been 1 year today since the DCA deadly plane crash, and so many people thinking of the victims and their family and friends during this very hard time. 1 year in the making right now. I want to bring in a special guest to help break it all down, what has been learned since this year, and what we still need to know about as well. So let's please welcome in Captain Ron Alvarado. Great to have you on, Ron, former Marine One commander. Always great to speak with you. And I was just thinking leading into this, I can't believe that it's already been a year.
Yeah, hard to believe. And if there's one thing that we can take away from this is to learn from our mistakes, and hopefully with the NTSB's help, the FAA and Department of War, Department of Transportation, we can learn from this and avoid it from happening again.
And what do you think is the number one thing that you hope is really taken from the report and learned from, so yeah, it doesn't happen again?
Well, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. One of them, Department of the Army, they need to fly the proper altitudes up and down the route structures around DCA. Department of War has to work on the procedures. Also, FAA, their tower controllers. I know they were a little task saturated that evening, controlling fixed wing and helicopters as well. And there were landing jets from the south, from south to north, and helicopters were up and down the river. So for one air traffic controller to control fixed wing and helicopters at the same time, hopefully they can learn a lesson and separate the tasks and divvy up those responsibilities to deconflict aircraft from being close to each other.
You know, it's truly something to think about too when all the communication that we have and really have excelled on throughout the years, but at the end of the day, it seems like a lack of communication was a huge issue here.
Well, absolutely. And let's keep in mind the NTSB, when they had their meeting on Tuesday, the chairwoman, she actually highlighted the fact that there's a lot of data out there, a lot of data that should have been heeded to, and lessons learned. There are a lot of reports of potential midair collisions up and down the Potomac River. And what did they do with that data? The data, they didn't learn from it. So let's hope that they have a lot of working groups that can improve the route structure for the helos and also the airliners landing at DCA. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned. Communications within the agencies, within different departments of our government, they have to talk to each other and communicate properly the dangers and the hazards in these congested airspaces.
Yeah, it's so true. And just to think of just yesterday was the 40th anniversary of the Challenger explosion. And after that really years long investigation happened, again, it was all about a communication breakdown between multiple levels and multiple departments within NASA. Is there just too much red tape in government where it seems like it's very hard to layer all the different types of communication that is so really in a very dense traffic area, very hard to do?
Absolutely. There's a lot of layers, a lot of bureaucracies in our government, in the military, and the civilian side of our government as well. So the big key, again, is kind of, if you remember after 9/11, all the agencies had a better chain of command and better way of communicating with each other when it came to threats to our national security. Well, I foresee that the NTSB, the FAA, Department of War, and Department of Transportation and the Army, they're going to have better communications how to avoid these potential conflicts within our congested airspaces. And I know I live in Southern California, and there's a lot of talk of the Burbank airport. They're saying the next midair might occur in that airspace just north of Los Angeles.
I mean, it's so frightening to even think about. And okay, when there's those warnings out there, like you just said in Burbank, I mean, what is trying to be done at this very moment to avert something from like that?
Well, I think what the FAA needs to do is ensure that all aircraft have traffic collision avoidance systems, and that what that means is aircraft are communicating to each other via the equipment in the flight deck to warn other aircraft of other potential aircraft in the area that they potentially could hit. So Burbank is a very, very congested airspace. You've got Los Angeles, LAX to the south. You've got Van Nuys just a few miles away. And Burbank, I've taken off out of Burbank many times in an Airbus 321, Airbus 320. It is a very rapid ascent. You're flying over the Hollywood Hills. You're making very quick turns to get up to altitude to get away from other aircraft. So you got to be on your game. And I believe the Department of Transportation, the FAA, they're working on these procedures to keep these airliners and small aircraft, aviation aircraft, deconflicted, make sure they have the proper squawk code and communicate via equipment to avoid hitting each other.
The biggest key of it all. Captain Ron, thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox as we look back at the year that was, and then hopefully more is done across the nation so that safety is paramount. We appreciate it as always.
Glad to be here. Thank you.